Hello and welcome to the original podcast. I'm your host, Jamie, from the YouTube channel known as Inside of Mind, and my co-host today is Eric Nielsen from the YouTube channel known as the Looney Turtle.
Hello, everyone. Glad to have another episode. So, today with us is a person who has exploded onto the scene in the horror community, Barely Sociable.
Hello.
Welcome, man.
Yes, welcome.
Yes.
I think the first question I want to end up asking you is, are you really barely sociable? Or are you kind of sociable?
Yeah, because you're talking to two people, and we didn't really have to prod you much.
Not only that, I've seen some of those vlogs at PAX. You seem to be doing okay at speaking to other creators and everything like that.
On the outside I look fine, but on the inside, I'm just kidding.
On the inside, I got some real problems.
The name, Barely Sociable is like, I'm not super outgoing, but if there's like a group, like if I go to hang out with people that are like-minded and you enjoy their company, I'll obviously talk. But generally speaking, like if I'm at the gym, I don't talk to anyone. If I'm going to get food, I don't go out of my way like to be social. I have a few close friends, but as far as the name, I just kind of picked something random and I didn't expect anything to happen out of it. So, but yes, somewhat true, but not entirely life defining. But it's good for memes, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'd say I'm kind of in that area where I could actually speak to a lot of people in person, but I could only do it in like small doses before I'm like, this is a bit too much, need a bit of a break.
Definitely.
Kind of just,
You're an introvert.
That's kind of what I go for. Yeah, that is pretty much me. Anyway, obviously talking about the PAX, I actually want to talk a little bit about that with you because I was debating on whether or not I was going to go.
So you were deciding on going and you didn't end up going?
Yeah, I was going to end up going and meeting you guys, but I think the main problem was just that it was so close when it was announced, so I just didn't feel I'd have enough time to actually prepare for anything. And I'm planning to go to VidCon this year, so if anyone's... Yeah, but it's... I am wondering on whether or not it'll actually go through, and people will actually... It'll be hosted, or if it'll get called off because of the coronavirus kind of spreading quite quickly.
I mean... I don't know. I'm seeing all those headlines about that. I know that's one of our talking points for later, but but like a coronavirus, I hate to say this because there have been families affected to a certain degree, but like wasn't there like a bird flu or some shit like a while back? Like I'm almost desensitized to it. Like, or I want to take it seriously and like I really respect if something bad has happened to someone, but like. I don't know. Maybe it's a conspiracy theory. We do get these a lot.
Yeah. No, I get what you mean. Because if you read a lot of the comment sections of the coronavirus stuff, it is full of people insanely paranoid about, like going to the extremes of something like this. Like, they'll start making conspiracy theories like China is hiding the numbers of how many people are actually infected. But to me, all I'm thinking is when they say that is, doesn't that decrease the threat of it? Because, I don't know, like 80,000 people are infected, 2,000 people have died. Yeah. But if more people have been infected, but yet the same death rate is still there, then that means it's not as lethal as China's been telling us.
I mean, the news always looks for something new to, propagate fear because fear is the number one thing that gets us to, take action. But I think we're treading into conspiracy territory, and I haven't done my research properly to address anything on that. But
no,
go ahead.
I just wanted to obviously bring it up because my thoughts on VidCon, because I'm not necessarily saying it's because they close it because it's a health threat. I think they close it because there's a lot of factors that go into hosting events like that. Like my dad, for example, my dad works at a tile company, and their main resources come from Italy. And Italy is having one of the biggest outbreaks of the coronavirus now, and they're closing off the borders and things like that. And so people don't want to travel in to collect these tiles and take them and ship them out because
that's
of.
just you're cutting it. You're cutting in and out.
Oh, sorry. Maybe that's internet.
You're cutting in and out. I think it's Discord right now.
Oh man.
That's okay. You're back. Continue. I heard the tiles and everything like that. So people are not wanting to travel as a result, or you're getting exports that are getting delayed. You know what I saw on Wall Street Bets? It's funny you should mention that. This guy just did like. Do you know what Wall Street Bets is? I can explain it for you.
Yeah,
so it's essentially like a trading. It's like 4chan, but for like trading stocks, right? So they revel in you losing as much money as you make, as much as making a ton of money. So basically, like it's, oh my god, you just made like $1,000 on a call for like a certain stock, and they'll be like, you pussy, you know, like, and you lost money, and they'll be like, go lose it all. Like you're not a man unless you do that, basically. So that's what that whole culture is about. So some guy, he's called Wall Street Bet God, right? And because of the coronavirus, he literally put his entire IRA into like Tesla a week ago, and he made like $8 million from calling Tesla. And that's really risky because you risk your entire IRA. And then he's doing the exact same thing with puts on all of the travel companies right now, with American Airlines, Carnival Cruises, because all of the fear that's being put in from the coronavirus. So it's definitely a ballsy move, but it makes sense in the short term for like travel companies. Their stocks go down. Corona even went down as a result of all of this, even though they have nothing to do with any of it. The entire stock market went down, but yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah,
it's definitely interesting. Go ahead.
We were definitely talking about the Corona beer going down in sales, and I was always connecting that to a superstition kind of thing, you know, where people are scared if they attach themselves to like a word that is associated negatively, that they suddenly think, oh, I'm gonna get it if I talk about this. Like if they mentioned the word cancer, that they think that they're gonna get cancer because they mentioned it.
Like, speaking of cancer, I was gonna bring this up tomorrow. If the cure for cancer was found and it was called Onision, it probably wouldn't do very well, just for the name. But I digress. Anyways, getting back on track.
Yeah,
we're talking about PAX and VidCon.
Yes,
but go ahead.
No, go on. I'm curious to hear some of your. Have you got any nice stories that happened while you were at PAX? Because I obviously wasn't there, and I only got to see like the highlights that Nexpo uploaded, and Loey as well. So
I've got dirt on all of them.
Oh, perfect.
I'm just kidding. But with let's go through the litany of impressions of meeting everyone. Mudahar is way taller than I thought he was. He's a super nice. He's a super nice dude. He's was incredibly interesting to me. He got totally plastered the first day. I remember as well, like I felt really bad for him because he missed his flight because of TSA. And then after that, he had to buy an entirely separate flight. TSA screwed him over for some profiling. I forget what the entire story was. He got in super late. He was kind of bummed out. Then he got drunk. And then he passed the fuck out. He went really hard. And then, he was cool though. Definitely not what I anticipated. I thought he would be short because I only saw like his top, like him at his desk, you know?
Yeah.
And then who else? Nexpo, super cool dude. Like I said, he was putting everything together. He was pretty busy the whole time. Me and him talked a lot about videos, content. So it was definitely enlightening, but he kind of like progressively, you could tell he was like just burned out over the weekend, or he started getting quieter and quieter. But he had fun. He was super cool to meet. Let me see. Everyone is a lot like their online persona, I will say, when you talk to them over Twitter, and no one seems to be fake in that regard. Like if you've interacted with Nexpo or you interacted with Muda, that is them for the most part in real life. Loey was super sweet. She's super nice. She gave me a lot of insight into like the world of like makeup gurus and stuff like that, and like kind of the drama that we see on YouTube. And because she's met a lot of the people that have been in and around that, she was super nice to meet. Who else was there? Max he didn't say too much to me. Super cool, nonetheless. He was quiet. He was very quiet. But that's because he was watching hentai the whole time. No, I'm just kidding.
He was very engaged.
Yeah, he was no, I'm just kidding. So then who else was there? We also had Night Docs, great for memes, super fun dude. It's really weird meeting him in person after my Hotel Zaza video inspired him to make his YouTube channel, and he talked about that on your podcast before.
Yes, he did.
So he gave that side of the story. He's like this responsible adult amongst all of his children while we were there. And let's see. I'm going to feel bad because I'm leaving someone. Jorge, super chill dude. Super chill dude. Me and him played Super Smash Brothers. I kicked his ass. I'm just kidding. It was 50-50. But he was there. I hung out more with him than any of the other people just by circumstance because he stayed at the hotel next to mine. Oh, and okay. Yeah, and I got to know him probably better than anyone else there. He was it's interesting because he's been in the game for a while, and seeing his channel grow and going through the adpocalypse and whatnot. Mm-hmm. Me and him share a similar philosophy about like YouTube and production value, and like really wanted to make projects that are like Lamino style. We've talked a lot about. He lives actually very close to me in California, but he's a super cool. I know I'm saying this about everyone, but I really have nothing but nice things to say about that whole group of people. And I'm missing someone. I know I'm missing someone. Who else was there?
I'm trying to go through the list, but I can't think off the top of my head.
Let's see.
Trying to picture them all. You said Loey, Nexpo, Muta, Night Docs, Jorge, Max.
Jorge.
Was that all?
No, there was one more.
Is there one more? I feel horrible if there actually is one more.
I'm not.
I actually will. I'm gonna.
No, I will feel.
I'm stuttering.
You didn't even go. I'm gonna feel terrible too.
I know, but I still should remember because I witnessed it from Twitter.
Yeah. We can.
I feel like I should at least have an idea. Oh man.
Let's.
There'd be like a picture somewhere.
Yeah, let's go on Twitter and then.
Yeah. Have a look around, see if we can see anything.
Oh no, it was Max's friend was there.
Oh, okay.
And then Max's friend, the Post Malone guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Now.
I
remember.
Yeah. He was quiet, but I didn't talk to him too much. I guess he was a friend of Max, and he just tagged along. It was super cool of him just to serendipitously come, and he fit right in. A lot of people have like at least witnessed YouTube from the outside where they've seen this community in our little niche, and I like that we have no drama. We're just chill. Everyone just wants to make money. Everyone just wants to make good content, and I'd say in terms of going to PAX and like what I got out of it, though, it was really just fun just to talk with people that are doing the exact same thing as you. We've gone through like creating content, dealing with criticism, like it's just a really, like, I understand why they do those like streamer houses or YouTube houses, because you actually get way better when you can kind of put yourself in that community outside of just like Twitter and stuff like that. And like, I'd love to like sit down and edit a video with like Jorge or something like that and see his process and how it compares to mine. Because it's one thing to like show someone like, hey, can you check out my video before I post it, as opposed to like actually collaborating on something. Because most collabs, are just like, hey, can you send me some audio real quick? Here's your script, here's everything. But yeah, enough about my rambling. I know I'm rambling right now, but
that's the perfect thing for a podcast, though. You ramble for like an hour and then you say goodbye.
Yeah.
Yeah, it allows us to just kind of, sit by and listen.
Yeah.
I like Night Dogs' philosophy, though, when it comes to collaborations, because he wants to be a part of it, like officially. He was talking about how he did it with that chapter on this podcast of all things when he went to about collabs.
I listened to that whole podcast, just
Oh, did you? Oh.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Nice.
Thank you.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I really do. I like that idea. So every time now, if people come up to me for collabs, I feel like I would kind of want to do that route of participate in it rather than just reading off some lines that someone sent me, or at least try to, do the best I can. Because
Yeah.
I know if anyone's like me, when they're wanting to do a script, they get so invested that most of the research is pretty much done. So when you're kind of reaching out to someone to collaborate with, there's not much else they can find. So
But
that is if yeah, go on, sorry.
in our niche, it really is just about crossover audience building. Like when I first started my channel, I wanted to collaborate with people that were going to build my audience that have similar audiences as well. So if you go through on YouTube and you see who was watching your content, like Barely Sociable viewers also watch this, right?
Yeah.
You show up, Frederick Knudsen shows up, Lamino shows up, which is way too cool. And then, what's it called? Nexpo, Rainbot.
Yeah.
So basically everyone that I'm already plugged in with watches my content and watches them. So when I saw that, immediately I was like, okay, I need to collab with Nexpo. I need to collab with Rainbot. I need to collab with Scare Theater, and Scare Theater never talks to anyone. So I've yet to hit that one. But you're on that list too.
You get there.
But
I feel privileged.
it's the culture vulture list where I just go steal a bunch of, but
Makes sense, just like I do to you.
Well,
I mean, what? Who said that?
well, it's smart.
How's Satoshi?
Yeah, it's smart to upload a video about Satoshi when I upload a video about Satoshi because you can get those recommended views pushed over. Every time Nexpo uploads a video, what do you think the top video is that's recommending mine? And so this is a smart meta decision regardless, and it benefits everyone. You build a stronger community. Everyone, there's nothing that is to be lost from that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I totally get that.
But so now that I'm like plugged in, I think it is weird though to switch narrators on a brand new channel. But
it's a little hard, yeah. It can be jarring.
Do you find it hard to write people into scripts?
Yes, because they're different personalities. So trying to word it in a way, or even make a nice segue as well, can tend to be hard.
Yeah.
Because you could just, I really don't know how exactly I plan to do it with some of the collabs that I have planned. I guess the best thing I'm thinking of right now is trying to not necessarily have them as narrators, but get them doing something else. I'm trying to kind of word it in a way without giving away what I'm actually doing for my next project that I'm collabing with someone on.
I kind of like those YouTubers that I don't know if it's similar to what you're going to be doing, but there are some YouTubers who, when they do a collab, they pick a similar subject, and then the two videos that lead into each other it's made by the host of the channel, and then they're like, hey, also this guy did a video on this similar subject too, you should go check him out. And it's like two sides of the same coin,
but it's their perspective
where they're covering
yeah.
I think more like the variation on the subject.
So you're sorry,
I forget.
I know which one you're talking about. Atrocity Guide did that with Nexpo.
Yeah. Nexpo and Atrocity Guide did that. Which I think is a clever way to collab, because that separates the two, but you're still technically doing a collab. What I was kind of thinking of doing was having like me being the narrator in my video, but then I have the person I'm collabing with go out and do something. If they if there's an experiment I need to add to the investigation, I get them to go and do it.
Yeah.
Or if there's an interview.
Kind of reminds.
Go on, sorry.
that kind of reminds me of something that Captain Dissolution did a while ago with Smarter Every Day.
Okay.
Like Captain Dissolution was making a video to debunk like the effects of something.
Yeah.
And to get more of a thorough explanation on the science behind something, he was like, "Oh, actually, here's a quick segment from Smarter Every Day."
Yeah, I know what you're referring to.
Yeah.
So that is what we call lead-in content. So like, it primes people to like let's say for example like I mean, like Veritasium has done that as well. Vsauce has done that between their two channels. A lot of the science community does that, but it's interesting that Captain Disillusion, a film channel, would do that because he's like a video editor who debunks like a lot of stuff. Correct? Um,
Yeah.
his production value is way too high, dude. For all things. For
Oh, but
YouTube.
it is awesome.
Yeah, it is great.
There's a few that's like that when it comes to their production value.
Yeah.
I've been wanting to get Lamino on this podcast because I would love to just speak to him about just what he does to put in how much
dude.
time he puts into that work.
He never talks to anyone. He's so
He
aloof.
does he?
Yeah.
I know.
He's done one collab with Kurzgesagt, but they're like god tier content creators.
They are, yeah.
Yeah.
The amount of money that goes into a Kurzgesagt video is so much more than like Lamino is just him, and he doesn't do brand deals. He doesn't do. He's just a purist. He's kind of like Frederick in that way. Frederick's a bit of a purist.
Yeah, I can see that.
Frederick says that like he's talked to me privately. He doesn't like to talk a lot online. He doesn't like to do brand deals because he doesn't want to taint his image. And I really respect that. I mean, but on the topic of brand deals as a whole, I just did my first one, and it did. Get this, my video got demonetized, and it's done really well in terms of response. But you can see that it's not getting pushed into recommended, and it's not getting shown on the homepage. The main traffic is coming from channel pages. So demonetization 100% affected that. So I'm probably gonna have to reach out back to them because we have a 2-part contract, right, with our agreement.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, look, I'll promote you guys a third time or something like that. Because when you have like what's frustrating with YouTube is brand deals are great, dude, because it allows you to sit back, make a longer video, not worry about getting it demonetized, well, except for the views, and then you can know you're going to make money. And it's so beneficial for the creator to be able to maintain creative control. But on the same time, it does seem to like you want to get them results so they'll want to come back and advertise with you again, right? So when that video got demonetized, I felt really guilty, not because I didn't make because I made more money on that video than any of my other videos, but regardless, it's like now I feel shitty because you want to maintain that relationship. You know what I mean? And part of doing a good brand deal, a lot of creators just talk about, securing the bag or whatever. But in reality, if you can make so much more money because I've been on the other side of things, by getting them good results and doing a good shout out for them, that it's so like, what's the word? You have to have a product that you believe in, like Raid Shadow Legends. That in and of itself is a terrible company to promote. I think a lot of people know that, but if you're trying to get them good results, that you have to sacrifice your ethics as a creator to essentially get them results. Correct? Have you worked with them?
I haven't, but I've got many emails asking me to work with them. The thing is with my sponsorships, I try to have something that I can segue into that it doesn't feel too jarring. So like Audible, I think is perfect because
it is perfect.
My videos are just like my videos are kind of audio books that people probably listen to while they play a game or do something else. And then what was the other one? Skillshare, easy because I think I can.
That's a great.
There's
product,
many
dude.
things I could learn for that specific video from either After Effects, Photoshop, or something, and then I can say that's what I was working on and I learned it on Skillshare. Or a VPN is good because a lot of the times there's a lot of shows that are available on different streaming services and things like that that are not available in either my country or the US, and I tend to talk about those kind of things, and I have that mixed audience, so I can always be like, well, you can check them out here. I did it with the War of the Worlds video I had. I was like, if there's a War of the Worlds series that just came out at the same time I made this video, but it's only available in the UK. Most people are watching me from America, so you guys can use ExpressVPN, and there you go. It's I'm not sure about any other sponsorships where if they would fit, but those are the three I know that I definitely look out for.
Yeah. It's especially nice to see when a YouTuber finds a sponsor that they believe in.
Yeah.
Because then, like, the promotion is all the more genuine, and
Yeah.
you can tell that they're passionate about the project rather than just reading from a script.
Yeah, and I think you can tell the robotics from like some people like who do Dollar Shave Club shout outs and stuff like that. Like they don't even have a beard or they don't even shave, like, and I'm not saying you have to have a full grown beard, but like, maybe you should have some stubble. Or if you're going to do a promotion for them, don't focus on the shaving aspect. Focus more on like the toiletries they send you, like butt wipes or whatever they send you. I think was one of the things they like. But like if you're a comedy channel, it's still a good product and they still believe in it. They just don't use it. But at the same time, I don't know. There are certain things like Raid Shadow Legends, that are designed to get whales onto their platform to milk them for microtransactions. And that in and of itself is a predatory practice that EA has capitalized on with their FIFA series. We've seen it just, time and time again. The games, I never played Raid. I never want to play Raid. And then they have the audacity to go on Twitter to say something like, let me pull it up. They said, I retweeted this the other day. Hold on, it's right here. It says, Raid Shadow Legends, hi there. We do not sponsor. We cooperate only with those YouTubers who play our game and want to be our influencers. We do not pay money for it. Like, what? Literally in the headline of their emails, they'll put how much money they're going to pay you.
Yeah. They tell me that before I even respond to them. It's crazy.
They just dangle money in front of your head. Like, what are you talking about? It's completely absurd. And if you know marketing, you should understand what's called the customer acquisition cost. So, and then there's a lifetime value cost. So let me explain. So if Raid Shadow Legends can pay $50 to acquire a customer, right? And that's not unheard of because the more customers you acquire, the more expensive it gets because they become more saturated to your advertising, correct? So then their lifetime value must be so high on the average person that they're making more than $50 per person that signs up on their platform average. So you're going to have people who spend nothing and you're going to have people who are whales. And those whales offset that so far that they can go buy $20,000 worth of advertising every single day and get, however many people to sign up. And they know in a month from now, they're going to make back, if they spent 50, they're going to make 100 for every person that signed up. That's how marketing works on a mass scale with those people. And that's why they're able to dominate advertising campaigns. And they're going to fall out of favor soon because once people have heard about it and it becomes memed, you kind of know you're near the end. And I think that company is going to either rebrand and relaunch, but that's how, like, you remember the Legend 27 like advertisement for Game of War?
What's that?
Game of War was another mobile game. And basically what these companies do is they rebrand, they get a successful ad campaign, and they figure out a microtransaction solution to get the most lifetime value out of people. And then they restart over and over again. And what you guys need to understand too is like those games, you ever seen those really weird advertisements on Instagram that are like games that are like hyper casual, like you go down a water slide. And 90% of people can't touch pink color. And like whatever the caption is, it makes no sense with the video. So that's a company called Voodoo. And they are an advertising company that specializes, and they've literally dominate the App Store, right? And as far as their integration with these mobile games and these sponsors, is what they do is they study player behavior. So if you notice, they're running advertisements. I know this is like a complete tangent, but hopefully it's somewhat interesting, right? So they actually are owned, and they got like $100 million investment from Goldman Sachs, I believe. Let me double check that. Let me pull that up. Voodoo. So what they do is they take non-gamers basically, and they introduce them to these hyper casual games because everyone has a smartphone now with these ads because they're not profitable up front, and then they retarget them later on with some game that is a microtransaction cash cow. Basically, the idea is to take non-gamers, turn them into somewhat casual gamers, and then turn them into whales. That's what I actually plan on doing a video on this topic, but it's definitely interesting to see how marketing plays into something as simple as like we know these games are shit, but who's spending all this money on it? And clearly it's a multi-million-dollar industry. But I don't know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, total tangent.
The
Total
thing
tangent.
when you mentioned Game of War, it literally instantly rang a bell. I had a friend who was absolutely obsessed with that game. I think it was back in 2015 or something. He was actually my ex-partner when I worked on YouTube.
Yeah.
And yeah, I would pretty much, when I tell the story of how I used to work on YouTube and I had this guy and I did all the work, but he didn't do anything. When he wasn't doing anything while I was putting everything together, he was playing on that game. Like he was absolutely obsessed with it.
I used to be a waiter, right? And I remember this guy came in with his wife and 3 kids, and I waited on them. This was right around the time one of those games was popular. Yeah. And his wife was apologizing profusely for her husband's behavior. And he never looked up once from when I went to go order, or to take his order. And she paid for everything. She took care of the kids. And he didn't get off his phone the whole fucking time, dude. No, pardon my language. What? But he was so invested in that. And you can only imagine how much money he spent on it. And the wife's face said it all. Like, she was so pissed off at him. But it shows that people become so invested. Like, if you want to go take a course on something, right, and you pay money for that, you're now invested in it. When you spent a lot of money on a game, you want to do better every time you spend more money because you feel that dopamine rush or whatever. And
yeah, it's the sunken cost file.
Exactly. And it's just about getting them to get that tipping point. So things are cheaper even like to start. Tinder works the same way. I don't know if you know this. Tinder, basically what they do is they will give you a bunch of matches to start. And then as they know you're using the software, right, to try and find a date or whatever, they will then make it more, they won't show your profile as much. And then if you stop using the app, it'll give you more matches again. So the entire system is designed to turn you into a cash cow. That's how microtransactions work. And when they track your usage, like they have access to like your phone usage and how much you're spending on the app or other apps. If they see you're not using it, they need to send you a push notification to get you back on the app. So there's all these timed things to get you into their sales funnel. And apps are predatory as is. Whatever the, whether it's dating, whether it's mobile games, anything on your phone is trying to get money out of you. The Apple Store.
Anything on the internet, pretty much, yeah.
Anything in the world is trying to get money.
Yeah, it pretty much, yeah. It's like it's one of the biggest problems I think online at the moment. Just the algorithms for Google, Twitter, YouTube. The fact that it's just so sinister the more you think about it. That they are designed to keep people on there as long as possible.
Yes,
it is. It is obviously understandable, but at the same time, you just think how is that going to play an effect in like 10 years time, now that people are more than ever using the internet and are more than ever probably, going in certain corners because Google's showing them what they want to see, and same with YouTube and etc. It's just
one more advertising thing before we move to the next point, because so machine learning in and of itself for advertising, like when you run advertisements on Facebook, you can actually upload your customers. And so if your customers, you can actually sort by who's worth the most money to you. And the learning once you have a source audience, it can then extrapolate all the data they have on Facebook to create more people that look like your customers. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it uses your source audience, takes all of their data points, what they like, when they use the app, where they're located, their age, and then it creates an audience of 2 million people usually. If you have 1% is like the custom audience, lookalike. So it's a lookalike audience. And what's crazy is that you can actually, if you're a mobile game advertiser, you then take those whales and you can like even do advertising campaigns to push them to the next level. So like, let's say one person spent a little bit of money, but they didn't spend a lot. So you have one ad campaign for people who are spending a ton of money on the front end because you know that'll be profitable. And then you have one advertising campaign to retarget the people who spent a little bit to try and push them over the edge to get to that sunk cost fallacy. So you might have like a deal or something like that, like get 50,000 silver for $1 if you buy right now. So then they're more invested, and it's just about every angle of your sales funnel needs to extract more money from them. Marketing is such a skeevy thing that I got out of.
It's so evil. Oh my god.
Yeah, man, it's a definite rabbit hole. I definitely love to do the dark side of marketing as like a video.
Oh, you should. That's honestly, it's such a fascinating topic. I know I just like yelling how evil it is, like Mermaid Man, but it is so interesting when it comes to anything like that. Yeah. Well, I can definitely see that.
I love that stuff, man. I was like, how do I get more money out of people for a while? But then I was like, maybe I shouldn't do this anymore. But anyways, what's our next talking point? I know we got all over the place.
Well, I know we've gone a little bit all over the place, but that's what we're here for. Well, before we go on to the next topic point, I just wanted to actually quickly ask you, did you hear about YouTube's system they're trying to do for demonetized videos? That they're trying to
separate?
No, they're trying to have adult adverts on demonetized videos. I think this is
porn ads. Like
I have no idea. It just said more mature content, let's say. So
that's smart.
I think it's because of the whole copper thing came up, and they were like, well, you can't monetize kids' videos anymore, so they're thinking, shit, probably gonna have to find another source of income, and so they're probably thinking demonetization videos now. So that way, hopefully, if they I think they're testing it out over the next few months. But if that works, then that could be game changing in a sense, because those demonetized videos, exactly, and demonetized videos won't mature content will be coming back, and they also they're also planning on implementing something called applause, which is basically a super chat for just ordinary videos. So I think it's like you can just it's basically giving YouTubers a bit of a tip. If you enjoy like a video, you can just send them $2 or something like that.
Does it display it publicly?
I don't think it displays it publicly. I think it said it does it privately. So they can still send you a message with it, but only you see it.
That's awesome.
And so I think people will be just coming across a video. If they like it, they can just drop a tip, like, here you go. But obviously YouTube's calling it an applause. So imagine if that happened, and then also this demonetized ads start coming in, mature ads start playing for demonetized videos. Yeah, mature content could see an increase over the next year if that actually happens.
I'd love to see that. I mean, I think we're definitely... You can't be too kid friendly. You can't be too too mature. And I think it's stupid to even have the demonetization system, because all it takes is you just going through and requesting manual review and re-uploading the video with a new signature over and over again until it gets monetized. It's a stupid system. It's because you can get any video technically monetized, and the only reason my last one got demonetized is because I was going on vacation and I didn't want to think about it. But I can't re-upload it now. Oh, actually, no. This is what happened. The video started green for a day. I published it and went yellow, and then got confirmed. So I was like, okay. But yeah, it's stupid that's the system, is just taking as much time to re-upload the video to get monetized, and then sometimes you still can't control it. It's frustrating.
And even that, there's a lot of people who just kind of keep the first minute or two clean, and then they just kind of talk about all the stuff they want to, because most people who review it don't actually review those extra parts. And then they get away with it. It's kind of stupid as it is, because I think YouTube only gives them like a few minutes to review an entire video.
Well, I mean, that's broken.
It is broken. And not to mention, did you ever see Nerd City video on that, where they did like an analysis on
auto words, the words that auto demonetize?
Yeah, exactly. And he brought up an interesting point that the people who review this stuff are scattered around the country, the world, and so
they have
each person that could be reviewing, they have different biases, different beliefs. So if someone from
in some cases different laws,
exactly. So
Yeah, so like weed could be completely illegal in one area where the reviewer is, and like alcohol is even what's it called? Where isn't alcohol like not allowed in certain countries, like um, United Arab Emirates? Is that it? I'm gonna sound like an idiot here, but it might be somewhere. It's one of the Middle Eastern countries that alcohol is illegal. Like you can go to jail for it. So like if they see someone in a vlog drinking, they're probably gonna demonetize that. If it's just like their biases, especially when it comes to like LGBTQ, right? I know that's a
yeah,
huge one for certain countries. But yeah, it's
it
definitely
definitely can be.
interesting to think about who is actually reviewing this. Like, dude, the creator support is such a joke, dude. It is such a joke that they outsource people from and they're super friendly. And I'm getting on a tangent here again, but my point is they're making so much money. How is this not that hard to implement? Like, how is it that hard to not review videos, but to like review channels, to have dedicated teams for this kind of thing? There has to be a way where this system pans out and works. Like, they're making enough money to hire people. Why haven't they done it? That's where it bugs me. I don't know.
It's a hard thing to say because is YouTube actually profitable, or is it making enough money to do so? Because I remember when they had to obviously release how much they were earning back in something like 2015 when it were really taking off. They weren't profitable. They were only just breaking even due to all the servers they were backing up. And then they haven't really released anything since. I assume they've maybe started making profit now, but if it is, I can't see it being too high, considering I think me and Eric looked up something about Google's profits, and one of their biggest fallbacks was YouTube when it came to ads.
Yeah.
So I'm not actually sure if they are making enough money.
Yeah, because YouTube has a lot of overhead that they have to pay for. Like they're hosting all of those dedicated servers with terabytes upon terabytes of data. Actually, I think they had to make a new measurement, a Googleplex.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Because they just are storing that much information on their
That's
servers.
insane.
Yeah. It's like a video has 60 frames in a second, sometimes 30. And then that is usually like a 1 minute, 2 minute video. It piles up. The information really piles up.
Get this, 2019, they declined to say whether it was profitable or not. I know in the past it hasn't been profitable, but that's interesting that they declined to mention it. I just looked that up.
That I do find interesting, because that me and Eric were trying to find that out, but there was no mention of how much they've actually made just recently. So maybe they want to keep up the ruse that they're not making profit.
I mean, I understand.
And they're just raking in
hosting
millions.
Hosting that video is insane, and getting all those videos reviewed is also an insane task. But to say it's not possible, no, it's
I think. Go on.
Like, why? Like, there's such an easier fix to this problem. It's like, like, why should we have to, what's it called? If you could just get rid of demonetization as a whole, then you could lay off all of those outsourced people and save a ton of money continuously by just getting rid of that problem. And by having more videos monetized, in turn, you have more ad space, which makes advertising cheaper for advertisers, which gets them more results, which gets them more ad plays. So it's a win-win for everybody, because when you can increase the supply of advertising by creating everything as monetized, theoretically, except for a slight few things, advertisers then can reach more people. So when you have more people to reach, ad space, the price goes down because there's more supply. So in turn, it makes, like, the whole demonetization thing doesn't make a lot of sense to me, because when you go on an edgy video, brands don't give a shit, dude. Brands, they don't care. They care about making money, dude. So I don't understand. Like, you go on like what was it, 400 something million for the halftime show, and there's sex, there's twerking. It's not sex. There's twerking. There's scantily clad women, and it's like, that is like one of the biggest pieces of advertising, and it's edgy. So these brands that were boycotting YouTube in 2017, like, don't care. So there's something up there with that whole
Oh,
apocalypse, and I have a conspiracy
well,
theory
if
about that I posted.
with that, I think it's very much that the brands wanted to take advantage.
Yeah,
Like by pulling their ads from the website, that got them in the news, and all publicity is good publicity,
I don't
especially
even
when people are
think it's-
calling for it.
I don't even think it's that. I think the main problem is that once you pull away from YouTube, you can negotiate better rates. You can pretty much
Yeah.
pull from YouTube and be like, well, you're promoting these racist these people. So if you want us to come back, we're going to have to pay less for our adverts.
dude, I tweeted about this too. Facebook has had way worse incidents of monetized content. All right, they have their live stream function, which will sometimes play ads right next to it.
Yeah.
So Facebook live streamed the torture of a mentally disabled person who was kidnapped. They live streamed a mass shooting in Christchurch. They live streamed a woman who taped a toddler to her wall and tortured the child on Facebook Live. Live streamed a gang rape. You're gonna get this video demonetized. Sorry. Live stream a murder slash suicide. This guy killed his child and then himself. On Facebook Live, and advertisers don't say anything. But then PewDiePie makes a Nazi joke, and they have a problem. Like, what? There's something else. I think what was really going on is that they were trying to negotiate, just like you said, and basically by everyone agreeing to pull ads, you notice that the trending tab became almost immediately all TV right after that. So I wonder if there's some conglomerate up. Like if you follow the paper trail of who owns like the Washington Post and like all these other brands that would have coordinated this, if that was like an attempt to make YouTube more commercial and more mainstream so TV could integrate over. I don't know if that's the case, but it makes sense to me theoretically. But what doesn't add up to me is that there's these brands are all of a sudden becoming morally taking the high ground. It doesn't make sense at all, especially.
Yeah, well, it's clear that they weren't taking the high ground. They were just, one, they knew that if they stayed with YouTube, that gives the news a new headline. It's like, because they were atting Coca-Cola on Twitter and stuff like that. They're like, are you supporting this racist platform? If Coca-Cola refused to respond, that's a new headline. Coca-Cola supports racists. So they have to pull back until the stuff dies down. But then they're also thinking, we pull back, rates can change. But then I think you're right in some sense that there was some kind of personal attack towards YouTube to either make it something else, because YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and all these others seem to be cooperating with a lot of the news outlets and things like that, whereas YouTube kind of wasn't at the time, and it was its own independent thing. And I just found it interesting that they chose to attack the most subscribed YouTuber ever in this particular attempt. Yeah, the face of the platform. If we can take down the face of the platform, we can take down any of them. And I think it is the fact that anyone can upload there on YouTube and become a star, whereas anyone on Facebook or Twitter, you're not really going to become a star unless if it's like a viral video, but then most people will have forgotten you by next week. Whereas YouTube, you have a chance to actually become your own thing without any rules, and that could be scary to people who are already up there.
They're threatened. Yeah, there's a reason that they don't want. There's no positive articles about YouTubers. They're all negative, and they're meant to bash in some way, because in turn it can prop up the other side of content. You have Netflix stars, you have traditional Hollywood, and that's why I'm thinking to myself, who's the direct competition to YouTube? It's mainstream Hollywood actors. And then why would they boycott them unless they felt, it seems to something just seems off about the whole thing. I can't obviously make a direct assumption, but in turn, I wholeheartedly think that there's some aspect of YouTube and mainstream media integrating, because you go on the trending tab in America and it's 100% Jimmy Fallon. It's the Today Show. It's like all this news that barely, like ESPN trends with like 50,000 views. It's ridiculous.
It's manufactured. Did you ever see Coffee Break's video of that analyzing the trending tab in the US?
I talked to Coffee Break. Yeah.
Oh really? Yeah, because they're
yeah.
over here in the UK, the trending tab is the trending tab. I mean, there might be odd news things that pop up, but most YouTubers and things like that appear on trending, but yet they don't appear in the US. They might appear in Canada, but barely. I don't think there's any YouTubers that rarely pop up on the YouTube trending tab in the US specifically.
Yeah,
which I find interesting.
It's definitely integrated here in the U.S. more so than any other out where it's censored. But it's definitely that's. I think everyone knows it. It's just it's definitely sad to see them getting paid off, but I'm sure they're getting. I don't know. Maybe that's why they declined to say they're profitable or not.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, because that's where their main source of income comes from. Yeah, I don't know if I feel bad for them or not, because I think part of me wonders if they were forced into the area that they've gone down now, because it did seem like more of an attack, and like when they implemented the demonetization section, it didn't feel like they actually wanted it. It was just to kind of appease the people who were attacking them more or less, which is why it's so poorly thought out and doesn't work half of the time and is pretty much pointless when you actually think about it.
Have you ever noticed a video gets demonetized but ads still show up on it?
Yes.
There's a theory.
It's limited ads, I believe.
Well, I know there's limited ads, but there's a theory, and it's never been proven, but I'd love to see it investigated, is that they use that demonetization actually made the platform more profitable by, because there's in certain instances where you'll upload a video, it'll stay green, and they'll get ads throughout the day right after it was flagged. And this is total conspiracy nonsense too, but like they're doing it to fraud clicks from creators, because if you can tell them their video was too edgy but still show ads on it and just not pay them, I mean that's sketchy.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
I wonder if there's ever been instances of that, because I don't know. I've definitely seen like Coca-Cola ads on a demonetized video.
Yeah,
before.
The only thing I would say to that is if you'd think YouTube would keep the video going viral at that, but keep it in the algorithm rather than cutting it off if they were doing that, because they tell you that your video doesn't get affected when it's demonetized, but it clearly does. So that part they're clearly lying about. But if they were making more money and profitable because they actually still had ads playing on them, I would think that they would still let it play in the algorithm, because then they can make even more money off of it.
Yeah, that's more evidence against that, definitely.
Yeah, I think the reason why we see ads and stuff playing on demonetized videos is because you are in the age group that is allowed to see those ads, because it says it. I think the purpose of the demonetization video is that it doesn't play ads for people under the age of 18. But then if you're old enough, because it's edgy content, it does sometimes play ads for you. But that's why it's limited.
But there are also circumstances in which the copyright owner is making the money off of the video.
Yeah. If it's copyright claimed. Okay.
Well, I mean, I think copyright claim demonetizes the video, and like an effect of that could be that they are profiting from it, like the copyright owner. So there's also that angle where the ads are still being shown, it's still on the video, but since the copyright owner owns like that one clip in scene 5, they are the ones making the ad revenue.
There should be like a royalty option, like if I mean, people might get carried away. Next thing you got to do is pay royalties on everything. But like, honestly, a company can make a lot of money licensing out like music to creators that they really want to use in their projects, if they're willing to figure out some system that wouldn't claim all the money, but like, hey, can I work out a 5% royalty on my video if I really want to use
Doesn't
Like
YouTube have some of that?
they do on the for big creators right now, and it's definitely in its infancy. But it's something I'd love to see because it would allow people who are like musicians to gain more exposure on YouTube by like giving out competitive rates for their music. You know what I mean? Obviously, a musician could just like let you, but if there's a function where you didn't have to talk to them, you just upload it, it gets content ID'd, and then you submit a request for like a 1 to 2% royalty. They get exposure. They make a little bit of money. You know, like something like that would be really interesting. And then you get a little bit more creative freedom where you can draw in like an audience of someone who likes a particular music or something like that in with your audience as well. So there's more creative spread there because right now we have royalty free everything, and I can't tell you how hard it is to find good music for like mystery videos because there are a couple good creators, but it's not incentivized enough for those people to make actually high production things, you know, because they're not making a name for themselves in the sense traditionally. They're just like Mew's the only person that I know who does this traditionally. He's an artist that travels and tours, and he makes copyright free music. But in the sense of like other creators, I think that's a missed opportunity. But I don't know. Let's go back to one of our original talking points after this.
Sorry.
But, yeah, go ahead,
well, before we do, I think that they do have that system for like song covers, and in the case of like Nintendo videos, because Nintendo's very picky about their copyright. So there's a system in place on YouTube that allows for profit sharing.
Oh, really?
Because like Nintendo will take like probably the majority of the profits, but they'll allow the creator to have some of the profits because they did make the video. Or for covers, like somebody singing it or somebody making a backbeat but using the original lyrics, the original like singer, like those types of situations can be profit shared.
Yeah.
I haven't really looked into it, but I do remember like seeing it on one of the videos of one of my less popular channels.
Wouldn't it be cool if you could like go to a music video and then like go below it and be like, lease this out for one of your YouTube videos and buy rights to it, like right then and there for a profit share?
So cool.
Yeah.
The-
And then you'd see a ton more like traditional music inside of YouTube that, you know, like in the Hall of the Mountain King is like a meme, you know what I mean? In the sense that like you use it when you want to build tension on a scene, right? Like dun 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 dun, dun, like that whole like build up. But then you have certain things that you just can't do that would be equally memeable, you know, from like what is like Bad to the Bone, you know, that song. Like there's tons of things that could creatively enhance the platform like that, but I digress. Yeah. It's a good idea. We should run the platform. Replace Susan.
YouTube, get on it.
Yeah. To be fair, yeah, YouTube does seem to be trying to help its creators now with that kind of stuff. Like I said earlier, with potentially having demonetized videos actually monetized, and the other thing I said, I forgot what was the other thing, but you know, that as well. And
the other thing,
yeah, exactly, very memorable thing, whatever it was.
So memorable. Everyone, you remember it. We remember. It's just we want to keep the viewers on the toes.
Oh dear. Anyway, Mr. Sociable, I actually never got to ask this question throughout the podcast, but I wanted to ask you what got you into YouTube and what made you decide, I want to make a channel dedicated around mystery.
It just the shoe fits, dude.
Yeah,
it's basically I wanted to make like HAI informative videos when I was first starting out, like or company man product videos, and I made a few of them.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just saw there was more interest and more demand for this, so I thought, hey, look, I'm good at Googling stuff, so like I'll take that challenge on, and then all of a sudden I'm like, hey, now that my channel's got some attention, why not try and get better at it? So it's more of like just see how far you can go kind of thing with YouTube. I did it from just wanting to get a break from my other job, but when I was doing some arbitrage, like I do private label on Amazon, and I still do a little bit, but mostly like I would do arbitrage there on Amazon, and that's what I was doing part-time. And I needed another job, and I just had some extra time. So I just started working on it, and I didn't expect it to go so quickly, but grow quickly, like once I came back to it. Because I made 3 videos, quit, came back to it in September, decided I wanted to be serious with it. I planned out how I was going to do the SEO. And I thought of it like I did it because I wanted to make money. But at the same time, I always thought like, hey, if I can make some dope stuff and people will watch it and they're interesting, I just got to figure out what I was going to do. And I figured it out a little bit quicker. I don't think anyone really sets out perfectly. Like, you got to be kind of haughty to think like you can just start doing anything and be good at it. You know, you kind of figure out what you have a knack for based on your past skills and so on. So, yeah, I don't know. There wasn't like a basic intention, but then I kind of got dragged into it. I wouldn't even consider myself someone who really likes horror.
No, that was another question I wanted to ask you. Would you really consider yourself as part of the horror community? Because that seems to be what people attached you to, but I wouldn't necessarily say your work is horror related. Similar to me in a sense, where I wouldn't class myself as a horror community, but I kind of have
interesting.
been put in there. Yeah.
I polled my audience and I said, what do you like seeing content? Like, what type of content do you like seeing from me? Spooky or, just anything I find interesting? 60% of people, I polled this on Twitter and my community tab, 60% of people say that they just would watch anything I find interesting. Excuse me. Mm-hmm. And then 40% of people say they like creepy content. So I think it's 60-40. Like, some of my stuff is it's a little disturbing, but it's never meant to perturb the viewer. Is that the right word? But so. Disturb the viewer. It's mostly just meant to draw intrigue. I think suspense is way cooler than horror per se. Like, things that make you go, "Oh shit, that's terrible." but
yeah.
That's I wouldn't consider myself a horror channel.
No.
But I definitely have some components that bleed into it.
I would say I'm in a similar boat with my channel. I'd say my channel probably leans towards mystery. That seems to be the thing that I really enjoy more than anything else. A good mystery story, something that has a rabbit hole to dive down, and this weird world of what it's connected to. And I think that, well, it doesn't. I guess it doesn't have the same ring to it, the mystery community. But I think more of us probably, more internet mystery community. There you go. I think we fit that category. I mean, not just you and me. I mean, like, most of us who have been associated with the horror community, I think fit that more than anything else. Even Nexpo. I know Nexpo covers a lot of horror-related stuff, but I think he fits more mystery as well. And same with Night Dogs, although I guess Night Dogs will probably be more true crime, maybe.
True crime. Sure. I have a problem with internet mysteries because you cover ARGs, and I was talking about this the other day. I said 99% of them are bullshit. And
all right,
I hate internet mysteries because 99% of the time, there's some legitimately interesting ones that are worth investigating. There's just sometimes some interesting stories that I'll cover too. But
that's kind of like most things. It's like 99% of movies are probably shit, but then it's just that 1% that are really good and stand out.
Yeah, but the hard part is when you have to make content consistently. You need topics.
That's true.
But with this whole saga of like this next video I'm about to do is about the internet's first mystery, right? I'll say it right now. It's the Markovian parallax denigrate. And it's something that has been twisted so far that it says a lot more about how we as a community respond to things. Like in my first video, Lake City Quiet Pills, I wasn't really brushed up on research, and I would have done a lot more research had I had more followers and so on at the time. But I jumped to one of the more crazy conclusions. I didn't jump to it, but I suggested it. Like the coincidence that an assassination took place at this exact same time and it could somehow be connected. But in reality, I said it was just a coincidence, and that's ridiculous. But to even throw that out there is enough to get more views. When you can tie it to something grander, even if there's like the smallest chance that they're connected, that like internet mysteries thrive on speculation. So the bigger the conclusion you can come to that's this grandiose conspiracy without sounding crazy, the more views you can get and the more sensational coverage it will get as well. I think the reason that Lake City Quiet Pills was covered so much is the assassination thing. That's the most interesting thing, but it has literally zero evidence to suggest it. So that being said, when I looked into it further, I realized there's no connection. And a lot of internet mysteries was this big buildup for nothing. And like, I know this is generally speaking here, ARGs are nice because they're contained. You know you're watching an ARG. You know it's for the sake of entertainment. But when I have a problem with like when you try and present that as real. You know what I mean? Like you try and present an ARG as real. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I get you.
And you try and exaggerate just for the sake of making a better video. You know what I mean? And that's something we have to do at certain times, because it enthralls the audience of this grander connection. But in reality, when you're investigating things, if you find anything that's real, you have to report it to the police. I've had to do that. You have to the real stuff that is really disturbing is true crime. Internet mysteries have to walk the boundary of being somewhat realistic, but somewhat fake. You know what I mean? I don't know. That's a very vague explanation for what I'm trying to say, but it's something I've run into as a problem for finding topics over and over again. Is because not every video can be a banger, and I think you realize that after a certain point in time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't know what are your thoughts, because you do ARGs.
I do ARGs. Well, my personal, I say ARGs. I just kind of say that as a general thing because it's just the easiest way to explain. I think when you start going into like every little bit, it just gets confusing for the person listening. But my personal interest is how people create this stuff more than anything else, and how they balance that line between reality and fiction. And what I find even more interesting is the reaction of the audience to it, which is why I covered things like War of the Worlds, something that was a broadcast pretending to be real and then, sending everyone into a panic. And that I found fascinating, just the reaction back then. And then I also quite liked the extra element that some of it was exaggerated by the press and the media in an attempt to take down radio, which is in a similar way what was happening back in 2017 with YouTube and the press trying to take down YouTube, because YouTube was seen as like this new threat that was coming in with a completely different market for people. And so I kind of find I find that kind of stuff online, these internet mysteries, so to speak.
But that borders reality. Yes. My problem, more or less, is when I have no problem. Like a good internet mystery borders reality on being fake or not, right? And that's where certain instances or events like Lake City Quiet Pills, it borders that reality. Like, hey, maybe there was something perverted going on this website. Yes. Aside from just like the assassination thing, but like for like Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared, you covered that. I love that kind of stuff because it's contained. Those it's like art. It's like your interpretation, and if you come up with a theory on it, that's an entirely different. It's not an internet mystery at that point. That's just like interpreting art and trying to create a cohesive narrative out of something, and that's fun. But it's not. What I have a problem with is when you make up shit to make a video better, and I think that when it comes to real world internet mysteries, there's a lot of stuff that you cannot cover. And I've talked about this time and time again because it will affect someone like a mentally ill person, and much of the weird behavior on the internet is the mentally ill. It's the and much of the real things that are going on, you don't make a video about. If something messed up is going on that's real, like World Corp, we can discuss that one. World Corp, for example, is, I believe, to be an edgelord who is trying to make an ARG out of, edgy content. But don't present it like it's real, because that is something where it's in and of itself, you're deceiving the audience to make a better video out of some. I
Are
gotta
you
be careful
talking
what I
about the
say.
actual? Well, it's alright. Are you talking about the actual ARG disguising itself as real? Or are you talking about the people who cover that particular stuff as if it's real?
Both,
Both.
both.
Okay.
Because they're doing it for attention, and
Mm-hmm.
then other content creators have to, like they know it's probably fake,
Mm-hmm.
and they still put it out there,
Okay, I
And
see
this
what
is
you
something that I'm even guilty of, with
Mm-hmm.
Lake City Quiet Post. I'm just as guilty as this, but it's frustrating when you want to stick to creating. For me, I'm having an internal struggle with trying to stay away from the YouTube tropes because people appreciate authenticity.
Yeah, yeah.
And do you know what I'm trying to say? I know this is a very
I get what you're
ranty.
trying. No, I get what you're trying to say. From my own thing is what I was saying earlier is my kind of approach is that it is it is very clearly fictional, but my kind of
Yeah,
telling is how people respond to it, and I'm always just
exactly.
fascinated by the actual creation of it. Is what I'm saying, and I totally get what you mean when someone kind of says I stumbled upon this thing. Is it real? Is it fictional? Well, they're not really even hinting at the idea of it being fictional. Um,
Yeah.
and kind
And
of string people along for the full video as if it's real, and then they kind of drop that
and then at the
it's
end,
not.
and then at the end, they're like, "Oh, it's probably not real." It's a waste of time in certain sense. Like
Yeah.
that's with ARGs. What's fun though about ARGs is not knowing whether they're real or not.
Sorry, you cut out
But
there. What did you say?
I said the fun part about ARGs is not knowing what, like playing an ARG is not knowing what's actually going on. Like with Arota, we kind of had a hint, but we were seeing this big hype, and is it really this? Can it really be this? And it was the Harry Styles thing, and we're like, oh shit, I didn't see that coming. And that, as cheesy as that is, that's a good payoff because you didn't expect it.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. I think that sense of surprise and that twist that can be played on like a story driven narrative. Like the other day, I have no interest in ARGs typically, but one popped out when I never expected one. So I'm like, okay, I see you. I'm not happy about it because I don't like ARGs, but I'll shout you out. And I did that thread.
Yeah, yeah.
And
I'm
I don't know. I think it's, yeah. Have you checked that out? I don't think there's anything new to it.
I've
but-
seen bits to it, but it was too early to call on what I think of it. But yeah, I like the satire of taking the piss out of some rich people who do vlogs. It's always going to tickle me a bit.
Yeah. But what's hilarious is that she did such a good job because everyone believed it. Everyone believed that she was like if you look at the Leon Lush video
Yeah.
on it, everyone's roasting her, thinking she's. But if you take time to think, oh, this is an ARG, and you see it in that light, you realize she's just acting.
Yeah.
And that's genius. I love it because they trolled people. I love it. But
It's
that's
not
good
keeping
art.
it.
That's good art, in my opinion.
That one works, you would say, because obviously that one was more trolling, but it was still pretending to be real, but it was trolling intentionally people, but it wasn't trying to do anything.
But like in the sense that, I guess that's a good point. Whether there's intentional deception and playing a character from the start. So these are two separate things. But for an ARG, what makes it good is not being able to tell if it's real and seeing people take the other side of things. When you know something's fake and then you string it along from the end as a content creator, what I mean more or less is when people talk about like the mattress firm conspiracy, right? And how you never see one that's busy, and people make content about this and how they'll title the video, "This person proves this conspiracy theory." I was talking about this on my stream earlier. Like, this person proves the Long John Silver conspiracy theory. It's a 6-minute video, fair enough, not that long. But then they go into how this is a conspiracy theory. Have you ever seen a Long John Silver's that's packed? No one's ever. No, everyone hates that fast food place. So basically, that's the entire basis of it. Why did you waste 5 minutes going off on a tangent, just like I am right now? But why did you waste my time as a viewer just to get to the end and say, "Oh, it's fake"? That's the same thing I'm referring to. And why are you conflating all this speculation with no found evidence? Like, if you're going to do any of this, but that shit gets views. That shit is like you takes 5 minutes to make those videos. They get views, and I don't know. I have a problem with how YouTube rewards that in a sense. I don't think it should be rewarded, but it's just that's how us as humans work. But I'm totally ranting. Let's go back to our talking points.
No, I'm always interested by it because obviously I kind of cover these particular areas, so I'm always interested in seeing certain people's opinions on it. I try not to do that when it comes to alternate reality games because I like to set up a bit of a mystery at the start, but I don't like to set up the fact that this could be real. I try to make it pretty obvious that it's fictional because I tend to cover more paranormal stuff, so in my own sense I hope that it's kind of clear that it's not real for the most part. I think I think a while ago, like 2 years ago or something, when I was more starting out, I probably did something in that area where it was more of
I did that too. I mean, the Redditor's confession I still believe, right? I haven't looked into it to find anything that would there's definitely that could be a possibility. This guy with that video, I'm not going to go into detail for the sake of time, but Lake City Quiet Pills, I could have done better research. And I could have not conflated it too much. And that one I would take back, but it got me but that got me views, and that was an honest mistake at that point. So I don't know. It says a lot about how we respond to things because we're presented in a video, and this video has a bunch of views, so it must be real. I don't know. I was just going to end on it saying, no. I was just going to end on it by saying that I think it's always down to the presentation of stuff. Like we were talking about ARGs pretending to be real, but there can be good ones that do it well, like the I Am Sophie one with, it's an intentional troll, but it's not setting it up to put anyone in danger or purposely mislead people in a negative way. It's for a bit of fun and kind of like a lot of trolling, but lighthearted. That's kind of what I was trying to end on. To be honest, I don't think we've got many more talking points. I think we got most of them out of the way. I guess one of them I just put was that you took a break from Twitter. So I don't really know where I was expecting to go with that, but you obviously I think just decided to kind of go away for a little while. I was looking at the analytics for like a week, just leading up to my most recent video, and I just wanted to try it. And I'm obviously cryptic about my entire channel. I do cryptic crap, so I just put the little scary. I blacked out my social media, which is a bit overkill, but I really do feel like Twitter in particular is like such a time sink. And when I live stream, I obviously don't get as much done, but at the same time I have more fun. So I was just really like, all right, let's try this for a week. And lo and behold, I got a 46-minute video done in 5 days. So there's definitely... Do you ever find that you just spend too much time on Twitter? Or
Yeah, I do. I do it a few times. I'm going to have to try and take some breaks at some point. Because I do spend too much like going, I wonder what people are saying. Let me just quickly check this.
It's the first thing I pick up every time.
It is. It's like if my phone's right next to my desk or something, and even if I'm editing a video or writing something down, I'll be just like, let me just quickly check Twitter or something like that. It's an addiction. It's what we were talking about with algorithms. They're designed to keep you there as long as possible, and they work when it comes to Twitter.
And you feel that dopamine when you see the notifications and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. It's horrible.
Do you want to end with a few questions for both me and you on the stream?
Yeah, I'm down for that. If anyone wants to ask us some questions.
Anyone from the stream. I know we've been kind of avoiding you guys for a little bit. Sorry. But if you guys have any questions. If you guys have any questions for both me and Inside of Mine and Eric, then we can. Well, this will be on his podcast channel. So
yeah, exactly.
I'll wait for the chat.
It's very original.
It's an original podcast, believe it or not. We sit down and interview people. How original is that? I know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Dude, it's about getting behind the scenes looks at stuff, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
How's our day been? Oh man, this is gonna be a tough one. Uh, it's been hell. No, it's been great. When are we getting a collab? I don't know. What do you want to? You want to answer that?
Never. No, I'm sorry. I'm not sure, man. I mean, it's finding the right topic that would probably fit you and me. I found one that fits obviously someone else I'm going to be collabing with that's pretty damn awesome. So yeah,
I mean,
it's just finding
more
something that
more
you and me
awesome
would like.
than me, dude. I'm just kidding.
Uh,
All right.
Well, no one is as awesome as you, Barely. Just thought I'd stroke his ego live. There you go, guys.
I'll just be in the corner over here.
Yeah.
Okay.
How is the?
But
I
no.
do collabs with Inside of Mine all the time.
Yeah, we should do something. We'll plan something if the right thing comes along.
Yeah.
You're always welcome on my channel, and I expect to sit. No, I'm just kidding. In reality,
I welcomed
it's
onto
not.
your mind.
We just have to find time to do things. I know, like taxes and crap are coming up for me, so.
Yeah, exactly. Same thing. I mean, I'm sure there's something out there because, like I said, we do kind of those mystery stuff.
We have
I'm sure
crossover.
there's something out there. Let's do I Am Sophie together. We'll do a dramatic reading of all her Twitter.
If that one's if that one's really good, I'd be down for that. Because
Barely Social could become ARG man.
Yeah. How was the response to your Freudian slip the other day, Barely?
What Freudian slip, you guys? Wait, so I
not
think they're
sure.
referring to me tweeting about boobs. But
Okay.
that's just something I do all the time. But
Naturally, yeah.
yeah,
Become a meme now, hasn't it? That's like your identity.
yeah, my identity is the titty guy. But,
Yeah,
hey,
he's the guy that just shuts titties every so often.
Oh man, I think I like it. It makes memes, and if I can't think of anything funny to say on Twitter, then I just type that word. So it's great.
That's perfect.
Let's, Jamie, have you held back on a topic?
Held back on a topic?
Like scrapped one, probably, or one that you really wanted to do and you couldn't do it.
There's been a few, I think, that a lot of them tend to be part twos and like extra updates on stuff that I made a video on, and then I come back to it and I'm like, I don't want to do this. I think one of the two ones that are coming to mind right now are, and I mean this in the nicest possible way if any other creators are listening, Luxie and 2H32. These two things I ended up covering. They're like both of them are web series, really. They're not ARGs or anything like that because they don't have any audience interaction or stuff like that. They're just shows. They have a video that goes on YouTube, and then that's kind of it. The story's there. 2H32, I love the cinematography and just the art style, but to me it's just a little too random in every video for me to be hooked and talk about it. And so when there was a lot more videos that came out from it, I just kind of watched it and was like, I'm really not up for covering this particular one. I had like a bit of a script starting, and I just eventually was just like, I'm gonna kind of move on from this. And then the same
part twos.
Yeah.
Sorry, part twos never do as well as part ones.
No, unless if they are all uploaded at the same time. I did a mini series that worked really well. I did a thing called Daisy Brown and 70 Broad, and I aimed for 3 parts because I thought that was the nicest way I could probably tell a story. It can have a beginning, middle, and end. And the first one does well. Second one doesn't do as well when you've uploaded it. And then the third one, once that's done, all 3 tend to do well because people are watching it the first episode, then they watch the second episode, they watch the third, and YouTube kind of sees that they've watched 3 videos of yours in a row, so they start recommending other stuff, and it was
Maybe
quite
I
nice.
should finish my Satoshi series.
I do think that will help you once the third part's out, because it can have a bit of a dip. But then once you get
Yeah,
that
I
final one
saw.
out, more people get recommended the first part because YouTube picks up that they're watching those in order.
Yeah.
So they watch the first part, then the second part is recommended to them up next. Then when they click on that, the third part's recommended to them after that.
And you
Or
just
at
put it
least
in a
that's my
playlist.
experience. Yeah, you put it in a playlist, and
Yeah.
they work
'Cause
quite well.
Yeah, I'm afraid to release part 3 of Satoshi. Anyways,
Why you got a
we end in
controversial
time?
ending? Yeah.
Well, there's one technical thing that I was the entire inspiration for the series, and no one's gonna even make it this far in the podcast to see this. No, I'm just kidding. But there's one technical thing that I'm really scared to put out because it's something that I need to leave open ended because it's outside of my knowledge technically, and to get like a proper person to know this is almost impossible. I've consulted with some of the people from my Discord who are very knowledgeable, but that being said, there's still a small chance that we both overlooked something. And that's what's held me back on making that video. And plus I needed a break from it. The editing has been so tedious on that series, and I really wanted to make it a polished thing the whole way through. But yeah. Anyways, yeah, that's good to hear though. Good to hear that series do well once you finish them. But yeah.
Yeah, they definitely do. They turn into a binge kind of session. Anyway, yeah, I think we've probably gone through everything we planned to go through for this podcast. Belly, it was a pleasure having you on here. Thank you for joining me and Eric.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, dude.